Good morning. It's been so long since I filmed. If you're new here, this is Mentally Unstable Makeup. I am your host, Unstable Tony. And today we are going to use the Impulsive palette by Melt. I'm super shocked by this. Okay, so first of all, I only got this because it was on sale at Sephora. I enjoy Melt's formula, but I'm not like in love with it, if that makes any sense. But in the pictures and stuff, I've only ever seen this palette like this. Okay? So when it came, I was super shocked that it was like this. This to me is very impressive. It's magnetic. And then the way that the sides like stair step so that it sandwiches into each other, I love that. I think this is super cool. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mattes, and all of the rest of them are shimmers. So like this whole side are shimmers. And some of these look similar, but in person they're different. So I feel like I was much more impressed by this when I actually got it in my hands versus seeing pictures online and seeing people doing videos with it. And I have found that that happens a lot. There are several palettes that I have gotten that I like them on Instagram and YouTube and all that, like they were pretty or whatever, but then when I got my hands on them and I got to see them in person, I was really impressed. So I'm hoping that the formula in this is just amazing because I own it now. I've only used this shade right here. I did it for a We Come Together look that I did. But I had to pull other palettes for matte shades because a lot of these matte shades in this are brown, burgundy, and like an orange and a green. But to like 1, 2, 3, 4, to have this one kind of 5 purple shimmers and not have any purple mattes is kind of confusing for me. I'm going to try to do a purple look with it just because of all of the beautiful purple shimmers that are in here. I really want to use them. I wish there were purple mattes, though, to kind of go with it. So I'm going to try to use the mattes that are in here and still do a purple look, even though there's not any purple mattes in there, which is kind of confusing, but it is what it is. If you notice, I don't have any makeup on. I figured I would do a full face today, mainly because I haven't filmed in a long time, and I got a lot to talk about. Not that y'all care about my life, but I'm gonna vent anyways because this whole channel was for me. So I'm gonna put my foundation, and I mix my Merle Norman and my Tarte Found Sealer, and this is the one with the B name in it. I can never remember it, but it's the one that has the pop-up top. This is a beautiful matte, but it's almost too matte, and this is too dewy. But the two of them together gives me a perfect complexion. Well, I think what I like for my foundation to look like. So today, one of the reasons I'm in such a good mood is because my little tiny baby birds are finally getting thrust out of the nest. And what I mean by that is 4 of the older children that live in my home are moving out this weekend. And I mean, everybody's like, oh, you're going to be sad. Like right now, you're all excited and all of that, but you're going to miss them. And you're probably right. But right now, I want to do naked cartwheels in my house. I can't because I have 2 other children still here. But I'm really excited. And it's not so much that I'm excited because I'm like, get out. Because, I mean, I am. But it's more of I have this like weight lifted off of me of I'm done. I'm done with those kids. Now, let me kind of explain, and I know this is confusing, and I probably need to like draw a map or a chart or a web diagram or whatever, but I'm gonna try to explain this the best I can. So I have 5 children, 4 of which that I actually physically birthed out my vajayjay. And then I have a stepson. So about 2 years ago, my stepson had a baby, graduated from high school early, lived with us for a little bit, and then he doesn't like me very much, and his girlfriend hated me. And so they moved out. Now, they're no longer even together. So they've kind of moved a lot, and he's lived with like grandparents, and he's lived with, grandma. And then grandma had to move, and so he's now at his mama's. And he's kind of bounced around a little bit as far as like jobs and being able to keep a job and all of that, but he's trying really hard to do his thing of what he needs to do, take care of his kid. So anyway, so he left. Okay, so that left me with 4. Okay. In that time, well, a little bit before that ever happened, my daughter, okay, she moved after our house burnt down. She moved in with her dad in Lincolnton. And there's speculation as to why she did that. Of course, in the beginning, she kind of was trying to play it off like she couldn't handle me anymore and blah, 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 blah. But I really think a majority of that is because one of my children is a special needs child. And it's a lot. It's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of uncertainty. So I feel like she needed a break from all of that. Both my emotional state while dealing with it, and I mean, it was just a lot. So she moved in with her daddy. So that left me with 3. Okay, so there's my oldest son, my special needs son, and my youngest. Well, in that little mix of time period as well, 3 other kids moved in with me. Okay. So these kids, like one of them is one that has kind of grown up with my kids. It's with a friend of the family's. It's his son. And I don't know why, but I guess he just felt more like he could function better. I don't know, but he came here a couple years ago. And so he moved in. Well, then my stepson had a friend that he played football with, and I don't know what really happened with that, but he needed a place to go. So we opened our home to him. And he's the one I joke about all the time about my designated black kid, because he is African American. But that's the joke that we say. And he's a wonderful kid. He's very young. He's got a lot of growing up to do, but he's trying. And then my son, my oldest son, his girlfriend ended up having to need a place to stay. It was supposed to be just temporary, but she came and she never left. So in my home, there is my special needs son, my youngest son, my oldest son, and then Ben and Larry and Desi. So needless to say, I'm broke all the time. Just trying to feed them and take care of them. So my son and Larry and Ben had all graduated last year. So the stipulation has always been in my home, and I have preached this to my kids since they were like 15, is you're either in school full time or you are working full time and you have an exit date. So the goal is to eventually have them leave. But if they were in school, I wanted them to be able to have a place to stay, not worry about bills. Like, I tried to give them a better opportunity than I had growing up. So Larry and Ben are still in school. Hayden started school, and that's my oldest, and then he dropped out and didn't tell me. But Mama knows everything. Mama always finds out. So when I finally found out that he had dropped out, guess what, son? You need a full-time job, and you got to be out by June the 9th. So, and of course, like a young, immature child, he wasn't really taking any of that seriously until it got to be about April. And I was like, you got 2 months. I don't care where you go, son. I will go upstairs and lovingly pack your stuff and set it on the front lawn. Now, I have to be that way with my son, because if I hadn't have pushed, he'd probably be 40 and still living with me, because that's just how he is. So in the last since probably about May, he has been scrambling. He did find a full-time job. It doesn't pay the best. He's, was working in a grocery store for a while, and then he went and worked at a Harbor Freight, and I don't know what his thought process was with any of that, but I kind of was on his butt about, you're not really making enough to pay rent and be out on your own and all that. You might want to evaluate some of this. But he eventually got it worked out, I guess. I don't know, because this weekend he and his girlfriend are moving into their first apartment together. So we'll see how that goes. I'm the kind of mom, like, once you're out, you're out. So you better not screw this up, son, because if something happens and you can't afford it, or you don't pay your bills and you get thrown out, I guess you're going to live with your daddy with your sister, because and I know that sounds cruel, but I have provided a very good life for my kids. I kind of screwed up, because where I had a really crappy childhood, I tried really hard to give my kids a better life, to not have to suffer like I did, to not have to go through the trauma and the abuse and stuff that I did. Well, in doing so, I kind of raised entitled, selfish little assholes, if I'm just being real honest. So now, granted, my kids they've been through a lot. I was a single mom for a really long time, working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They lived basically at their babysitters. We had a house fire and lost everything 3 years ago. So they have been through some stuff. And then, of course, the dealings with my child with special needs, like it's traumatic. Like, there's a lot of stuff that has happened with that has been really traumatic. But as far as suffering and going through anything like I did, they've not had to do any of that. So they don't really have the motivation and the survival instinct and drive like I did. And I'm going to sound so freaking old. But the world is different than when I was growing up. So I kind of understand, like, what my grandparents and, like, other older adults kind of were saying when I was growing up, because I think some of this is a rite of passage. I think that every generation kind of feels the same way about the generation below them. So, I mean, in a way, I feel like my kids are probably going to say the same thing, and my kids are going to say the same thing to their kids. I think it's just the circle of life. I don't know. But anyways, so they are Larry is moving out. He found a place. Ben is moving out. He got a place. And Hayden and Desi are moving out. So now my entire upstairs, it's 2 bedrooms and a bath, is gonna be empty. Which means no more stomping and rolly chairs rolling back and forth across the floor, because their bedrooms are here and my bedroom's underneath here, and I hear all of that running up and down the stairs. Like, I might actually get to sleep now. So I know that sounds horrible, and again, in a month I may be on here like, I miss my babies. But for right now, I'm pretty freaking excited. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do my eyes. I hope y'all lasted through that. If not, you can just keep fast forwarding through it till we get to the makeup. So I'm going to use a big fluffy brush, just like I always do, because I'm going to do my transition color. And this color is going to go above my crease, about right in this area. So, because I want to do a purple look, I think I'm going to use this brown shade. And it's kind of orange, so this may be an epic fail, but we're going to try it anyways. So it's this shade right here. And I'm just going to lightly press into it. Oh. Okay. I wasn't ready. Oh, this is way darker than I wanted. Oh, okay. Too late now. Too late now. So because this is super pigmented, it is going on great though. I'm going to apply this, and then I am just going to blend the absolute crap out of this just to lighten it up, because I was not expecting it to be that dark. Sometimes shades in the pan go on the eye and they end up looking different. Now my dumb butt, 9 times out of 10, shades end up going darker on my eye. I should have been ready. I should have known, but I did. So much like most of Melt's formula, these are dusty. I don't think it's as dusty or as dusty. I don't know. As the the smoke session, it's not as powdery as that, but it's still powdery. But that doesn't bother me. I have some high-end makeup and some cheap makeup that does that. So to me, that's normal. I don't really see that as anything any different than any of my other stuff. Some are just more than others. But if the pigment's there and they blend well and they go on, I don't really care about that. So, all right. So that went on great. And I'm just trying to blend it. I am having a little bit of blend issue on this eye, but this is my trouble eye, so that's not really that surprising to me. We all have that one eye, don't we? So, not bad though. I mean, it's pretty. Now, the next shade that I'm going to go into, and again, there really isn't a purple matte in this palette, but there is this like purpley burgundy color. I'm going to go into it next. And I'm just going to lightly do it, and I'm getting a fluffy brush, but it's smaller in diameter. And I say this every time, and I'm just going to keep repeating myself. So it's still a fluffy brush, but it's smaller. As I go down in my eye, I go smaller in my brush. And that's just so I can get into the actual crease that I want. So I'm going to barely tap that. I'm going to dab it on my outer corner just to release some of that pigment. And then I'm going to pull it into my crease. And I always start my shadows like this. Is I dab it on the outer corner just to get some of the pigment concentrated on that outer corner, because I want that outer corner to be darker anyways. And then I blend it into my crease. It helps take some of the pigment off the brush so that I'm not getting like pigment, and it just helps with the blend. And then as I get it where I want it, I start doing circles just to kind of bring it up a little bit into that transition shade. And you can add or take away however intense you want that shade to be. Okay, so back to my life. So with my older kids moving out, that leaves me in a dilemma because I do have the 2 younger children still here. I know they are going to want to go upstairs because the upstairs bedrooms we added after the house fire. So they're brand new, they're bigger. We got to really do the layout. There's a huge bathroom up there. And we were very fortunate, like even though our house burnt down, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Because up until that point, all of the kids were sharing bedrooms. We had 2 kids in each bedroom. And we had talked about how we so badly needed to add on rooms, but we didn't know how. We didn't have the money. And so we kind of were just like, well, we're just going to have to deal with it. But when the house burnt down, we were given the opportunity to do some of the things that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So even though it sucked and we lost everything, it really ended up being a blessing because we were finally able to add the rooms that we needed. We were able to change the layout of the downstairs to fit better of what we needed. And I mean, we basically have a much bigger, better, newer house now. But with the kids moving out, I have a feeling that my younger ones are going to try to go upstairs. And I don't know how I feel about that because I don't really feel like I can trust them. Like right now, I am having the hardest time even getting them to get up on time. And if they're going to have to get up and catch the bus or whatever they're going to have to do, they're going to have to prove to me that they can get up and me not have to walk upstairs every day. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. To be continued on that one. So I am going to use my NYX glitter glue. I use this for shimmers a lot of times. It helps keep the shimmer where I need it to be. It also helps intensify it. And it just takes a little tiny bit, and I'm just using a small, it's still fluffy, but it's rounded and it's small. And that's so that I can get it precisely where I want it, because wherever you put this, the shadow is going to cling to it and stay. So you kind of need to be a little careful with this. I always start in the center and then work towards the inner and then towards the outside. Now, I am going to bring this down a little bit, but I don't want to cover up completely that outer darker shade that I used. And those two mattes that I used, they look a little bit more brown than I was anticipating. I was hoping it would be almost like a burgundy, but they're coming off completely brown. So when I put these purples on, this might look really weird. But we're going to do it anyways, because I really want to use these purples. Okay, so I've got that down where I want it. Now, I want to use the darkest purple that's in this little palette. So there's this one and there's this one. Because this turned more of like a brownie, I'm going to go with the more warm tone, brownie purple. I love this one, but it's going to be so different of a purple, I don't think it'll look right. So I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to put this on the outer half of my eye. I'm going to use the same brush. Which one am I using? Okay. Back to my life, what I would really like to do is to sell this house. I know, like, we were able to get it where we wanted it and to design it to where it works the best for us, but with the kids moving out, our needs changed. We don't need this great big old house if the kids are not going to be here. So I would really like to sell it and maybe get something smaller so that we're not having to pay utilities and all that stuff for a big old house. So the next shade I'm going to go into is going to be probably this. Gosh. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go into this one right here. And I'm going to put it in the center and leave a little spot right here. I'm leaving that little spot because I'm going to go in with the lightest purple that's in this palette, just to brighten my eyeball up. I'm basically tricking the light towards my eye so that it gives the illusion that my eye is more shaped like this and not rounded. Or at least that's what I think I'm doing. So anyways, I don't know. A lot's going on. My special needs son had court. Court sucks for us, and mainly because the judicial, God bless America, system doesn't fully understand mental health needs. They also don't understand how crappy the mental health system just really is, and how it's failed us on numerous occasions and continues to fail us. So court is always very stressful for me because if we get a new judge, I'm grabbing another brush just because both sides of that brush have been used. So I'm grabbing another brush to go into the lightest purple, which is this one right here. I am going to spray this, though, with setting spray. Typically, if I don't have glitter glue on the bristles, I will spray my brush with setting spray, and I'm just using Morphe. And that just helps keep the shimmer on the brush. It also helps it stick better to my eye. It also helps make it pop a little bit. But anyways, I definitely run the risk of getting a judge who's not been involved, who doesn't fully understand what all we've gone through, and just sees my son as a punk 15-year-old kid, not a mentally disabled child. So court's always very stressful. I always lose sleep. I didn't go to bed until probably about 4:30 that morning, just because I stress and worry about, are we going to get the same judge? Are we going to get a different judge? Is he, currently my son is in a depressive phase, so he's very, very negative, and everything is, this is stupid, and it doesn't matter, and, so sometimes he flies off the mouth with negativity or it's kind of a smart ass remark, but he doesn't mean it that way. It's like, it's just because his headspace is in such a negative place. So I worry about that too. I worry that he's going to say the wrong thing and piss the judge off. Because ultimately, they could be tired of his crap and they could send him to a juvenile detention center, and there's nothing I can do about that. Okay. So I am going to take this same shade right here, and it's the one that I used right there, and I'm going to tightly push it up against my lash line. Now, it is a shimmer, so this might be an epic fail, but I'm using a tiny fluffy brush, just because I don't want to paint all up underneath here. I just want to try to concentrate it to that lash line. So I'm going to start on the outer corner again, and I'm going to just rub that on my lash line. But anyways, we were able to extend his probation, which honestly, I would like for him to not even be on probation anymore. It doesn't aid us in any way. Well, I'm not going to say anyway. It's just another stressor I have to deal with, him being on probation, because they have to come out once a month and see him. We have to go to court. Oh, and by the way, I have to pay for all of that. His court-appointed lawyer, I still end up having to pay for all of that. So it's a whole nother stressor that I really don't need with all of the other stuff that I am dealing with him and the appointments and all of that. But it has kind of saved him in an instance. I'm using that same brush that I did the darker, like burgundy shade with. I'm not going to wipe this off or anything because I want some of that burgundy on there, but I'm not, I'm not going to wipe off what's already on there. I'm going to use what's kind of left on there, but I am going to go into a lighter type shade and blow this out. And I only have shimmers in that lighter purple shade, so that kind of sucks. I don't typically like using metallics or shimmers on my lash line. I feel like they fall into all my little wrinkles and stuff and really show that. But I don't have another choice in this because all of the mattes are greens, oranges, and like yellow colors that aren't going to really go with this look. So I'm going to go into this light purple right here with the same brush. And like I said, it's got some of that burgundy matte on it. So I'm hoping that those two colors will kind of mix together on the brush and create another color. So anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, so her involvement, or DJJ's involvement, has helped us a little bit in a couple of instances, because where he struggles, I can't get the court system, or, I mean, a lot of people really, to fully understand that his illness doesn't go away and that he has phases that he goes through. Asking him, putting him on probation and kind of asking him to not be disabled for a 6-month period, I just don't understand that. You wouldn't ask a Down syndrome kid to not have Down syndrome for 6 months while he's on probation. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why they do it. So I'm using Color Pops. What shade is this? Hang on. Piggy Bank. It's like a purpley, and that's just because I'm trying to bring out the purple that I put on my eyelid. But anyways, so I feel like probation is kind of like, hey, you're disabled, but we're going to ask that you not be disabled for the next 6 months. Like, it's impossible. If he has a psychotic break, he has a mental break. I mean, there's nothing, no amount of medication, no amount of therapy is going to stop those episodes. And he is trying so hard. I can't express that enough. Like, he knows he's different. He knows that he struggles. He just doesn't know how to fix it. And I don't know how to fix it. And none of the services or the therapist or the medicine or the doctors or the hospitals or have been able to give us anything to help him. And so he is kind of alone in trying to find what coping skill or what he's going to be able to do so that he can function in the real world. And I can't imagine what he feels. I mean, I know there are times that he don't give a shit. Like, he does not care. And, I mean, he's very much like, yeah, I hit him, but he deserved it. Like, he feels very justified in what he's done. And then there are other periods where he's, you know, sitting here listening to all the stuff that he did while he was in a certain phase. And he's like, God, I suck. You know, I'm a bad kid. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, but we've just not found anything that is helping. And as a mom, like, you just want to fix it. And I can't. And that is so frustrating. And it's sad. I just want him to be able to have a life. Be able to get a job and get married, or if he wants to, and, you know, have a regular life. Go travel if he wants to do that. Be a I mean, I don't care what he wants to do, but I want him to be able to have that opportunity. And currently, with the way that his mindset is and the way that he processes and decision makes and stuff like that, is going to stop him from being able to do that. And as a mom, that's hard. It's hard to accept. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to watch. Especially when you've got your other kids who are, you know, taking that path, you know, of getting their own place and creating long relationships. And my eyeball is watering like you would not believe. And it basically just watered all that mascara off. Great. Oh, sorry. So I used the Merle Norman for the top. I used the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes for the bottom. And then I go back over them with my Bad Gal Bang. And if you've watched any of my videos, I do this same kind of routine every time I do my makeup. So, but I got on a tangent and forgot to say anything. Sorry. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in his life. I don't know what's going to happen in the world. There's a lot of uncertainty. I'm an overanalyzer, so of course I have created 5,000 scenarios of how it could be, what could happen, what I'm going to do to combat it. And at the end of the day, I ultimately have zero control over any of it, which is also extremely frustrating. I have started therapy, though. One of the services that he gets, they realize that, you know, this affects more than just him, and it affects the entire family. So I have started my own therapy, which I hope ends up working out great. We'll see what happens. We'll see how long they stay involved, because that's the other problem I have, is getting people to stick with us long enough to make a difference. It seems like we start to make some headway or a little bit of progress, and then people quit, or the insurance decides they don't want to pay anymore, and so we end up losing the services. So that's always fun. I am going to do my contour and cheeks and my highlight while I talk to y'all. And this has been, like, my mouth is dry. I've been talking this whole time. Are you still with me? If you're still with me, comment a heart emoji below to let me know that you're still sitting here watching this. I battle with my channel as far as, like, what content I want to do, because I don't want to do this to make money, but I do want to make money. Does that make sense? Like, I love makeup, and makeup is my therapy, and it helps me get through life. And when I get in my really low periods or my anxiety's really high, I can put makeup on and it helps me. If I could get PR, that would be even better, just because I wouldn't have to spend money myself on stuff. That contour shade that I used, and y'all can see, I've hit pan in this bad boy. This is the Juno & Co. Cherry Balm palette. It's the face palette. This is amazing. I love this palette. Now this is powdery AF. Like, I end up blowing off and losing more powder than I end up using on my face. But that shade is so perfect for me that I don't even care about that. And this is the first shade that I have had that doesn't end up turning orange on me. Most of the time when I put a contour on, within about 30 minutes, it starts looking really Oompa Loompa orange. So I have been really enjoying this palette. I don't know. The blush in it is great. It's super, so like that's a contour blush, and then there's these two highlights. They're all really good. Now this blush is pigmented, so you kind of have to, so that it doesn't come off like super, super, super pigmented on your cheeks. So I'll dab in it, I'll dust it off, and then I'll dab on the back of my hand, just so that I'm not getting like blush. This blush also has a little bit of a sheen to it, so it kind of adds a little bit of a highlight to my cheek, and my camera's not really picking it up, but it's really good. And then the highlights are really good too. So all in all, I love this palette. They were having a thing, I'm going to say a sale or whatever, but they bundled a couple of things. They had this face palette bundled with the primer, and I got that because I want to try that primer, which is funny because I don't even wear primer, because when I was wearing primer, I noticed that my pores were getting bigger. And I stopped wearing primer and my pores went back down. So I don't know, but I really wanted to try that primer. See, it's just a subtle, just real pretty highlight. Now, it's not pigmented, like, it's not going to give you that, oh, holy crap highlight. It's just a subtle, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's just a real subtle glowy to it. So now I need to decide what lip I want to wear. Oh, I forgot my inner corner highlight. Hang on. I gotta have that. I gotta have it. Oh, where's my brush? I can't find it. This one will work. I don't care if the look needs it or not. I love an inner corner highlight. And I'm going to go into this white one. I don't know. It makes me happy to have that inner corner highlight. I was kind of hoping that my eyes would stop watering by now, but they're still watering. So this white one is, the gold one is more of like a champagne-y, smooth, just a subtle, whereas this white one is super glittery, very pigmented, and very like pow, pow, pow. Now I am going to take the big fluffy that I did my transition shade, and I'm just going to go over it a little bit just to help blend it. Just so it's not such a, she put powder here kind of look. My eyeball is watering, and so this is bleeding up into my eye. Great. It is what it is. I also need to do, oh, I hate when I can't find the brush that I need. Where's my brush? Oh, well, I'll use this one. I'm going to take the champagne one. And this isn't the brush I normally use, so this might end up being an epic fail. Oh, no, it's going to work. Okay. And I'm just going to highlight up underneath my brow. And, I mean, you can see the difference. Like, I don't know if this is it picking up? Is it picking up? But this is like a pow. This is more of a subtle, just a twinkle. I'm going to use that same big brush. I am going to wipe it off just a little bit because of the fact that I used it to blend here. And I'm just going to blend right up underneath where I put that highlight, just so that there's not like this line of a highlighter. Oh, my eyeballs watering so bad. Gotta love allergies. So that's that. Now I'm going to line my lips with the same LA Gear Ultimate Lip in Keep It Spicy that I always use. I use this no matter what color I end up putting on my lips. It's cheap, it's good, it works great, it lasts all day. It also doesn't peel up. And if I say that, and you know immediately what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But some lip liners that I have used, after a couple hours of wearing them, they kind of like develop little crusty, peely things and end up leaving like little crusty flakes all over my mouth. It's nasty. I don't like it. So this one doesn't do that. And because this is more of like a subtle, not like my bam colors that I normally wear, I think I'm going to go with a more nudie type of lip just to pull this look all together. Normally I'm like, pow, makeup, but this is looking very neutral, nudie patootie type. So I'm going to go with a nudie patootie lip. And I think right now my favorite nudie patootie lip has been Sugar Pills in the shade Next. It's a little bit lighter than I like, but with the lip liner, it darkens up. Always shake and tap all of your lippies. Always, 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 always. You can even like take it in your hand like this and roll it. I've heard of people like sticking it in their boobs and warming it. I don't know, but I have found that by moving these, all of my lippies, it's helped with application and all of that. See what I mean about it being just a little bit too light? So I use the applicator tip to line. I don't know what the heck that was on it. And then I fill in. So that's it. So thank you, if you're still with me, for listening to me ramble and talk about my crazy, chaotic life. But that's kind of why I started this channel. Yeah, it would be great to be monetized or to make money doing this just because it's therapeutic. And I think that it would help push me to film more, but it's really hard to find time to film. I do have some exciting things coming. I bought the entire Kaleidos kit. Of course I did. So I do have some stuff coming that I bought. I have a new brand to me that I've not really heard about and not really seen a whole lot on. So I'm excited to try that and introduce that to you. Hopefully it's good. But so I do have plans of stuff I want to film. So I hope you stick around with me because this is great for me. And I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say. I guess thank you. But love yourselves, love each other, and I hope you have an amazing weekend.